This is another one. Apparently, Xbox staff leaked Microsoft's demands. This ought to be interesting. This
This is
has
going
to
to
do
be
with that
fun.
mass exodus layoff that they did recently.
Xbox is worth $23.46 billion a year to Microsoft, and that actually doesn't matter. So here's why it's kind of terrifying. Microsoft can make brutal cuts to their gaming division because it doesn't matter, not compared to where Microsoft wants to go. They can cut hundreds of developers, maybe thousands, and that's happened all in the last few years.
Yeah, they have. They've already cut, like, I think it was like 9,000 or something like that. It was crazy. Or like, it was a lot. It was a lot of people.
The reason why? Microsoft is gargantuan.
Mm-hmm.
And those billions that Xbox makes, they're just 8.8% of Microsoft's total revenue. Xbox is just a line item in their budget. Staff are just numbers in a spreadsheet. That's how it is when your headcount is
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you keep hiring people and hiring people and hiring people.
200,000 people. But that's all vibes. Do you know what's concrete? Leaked memos that we've read that suggest something worse. That staff need to use AI daily, literally daily, right? They need to do that to keep Microsoft happy. But here's the thing. It seems they're not willing to take this shit anymore, and they are arming themselves against Microsoft's influence. So if you want an Xbox, and that means not just the console, it means development teams, if you want them protected against Microsoft's influence, well, today, we're getting proof of why, and we've got proof of just how bad things can get. Spoiler warning, by the way, it's really goddamn grim. Now, I'll bet this has happened to you. You've got a dead phone battery, and then you're stuck waiting a software factory to an intelligence engine empowering every person. Wow.
That could explain the reason why Xbox dropped out of the console race, you know, is because their biggest competition was just trying to stay in business for Microsoft.
And in this, 3 business priorities emerged: security, quality,
and
AI transformation. Those are the things that matter to
it makes sense for Microsoft to want to use AI.
Microsoft. And if you want to know where Microsoft makes its money, well, here's the breakdown. 35% from server products, 31% from cloud, and together those are $186.21 billion last year. And do you know what's not mentioned once in this? Games, Xbox, the stuff that we care.
Well, especially with the new Game Pass, like, a lot of developers are probably getting really hosed because of Game Pass.
And look, it's not...
If anything, like, let's say you can sell the game for $70 and you get that money, but because of Xbox's Game Pass, you pay a yearly subscription of like $50 or however much it is, right? And you're out whatever money isn't covered in that yearly process of the $50 a month or whatever, or however much it is. So I could imagine that it's kind of like a straight up annihilation of Xbox, because they're going to get alienated by developers because they're not able to supply the demand of the amount of money needed after Game Pass is done. So they're hemorrhaging money to developers and studios because of the Game Pass not doing $70 a person that plays the game, you know?
Anti-gamer agenda. Right?
Yeah, that's what it feels
Xbox
like.
Wins, Microsoft is actually happy, but it's just not what Microsoft cares about. It's not what they want to invest in. Not like, say, AI. And here's a question for the comments. How much do you think Microsoft can reinvest in AI from firing thousands and cancelling projects? We've actually got the number, and we'll get to that. But it all means one thing.
I mean, why would you want a room filled with people if you could have AI do the exact same thing but better?
Microsoft can hurt Xbox not out of malice, just out of apathy. When we clear out a forest, it's not because of a burning visceral hate. The entire Diablo. They basically arrive like clockwork now. Diablo especially suffered before the acquisition. Crunch, high attrition rates, hostile working environments. But now, those staff want to fight back. And here's what staff in Diablo pointed out: that these unions don't stop layoffs entirely. Indeed, the first contracts...
Well, the thing is that unions are good for the workers and bad for the company. But when a company is so monopolized that it owns everything, it's going to do whatever it needs. It'll cut off the branch. Like, if Microsoft has no unions in it, but then Xbox has unions in it, they're going to cut Xbox off like a limb. like it's infected if they have to, because they don't want it. Big companies hate unions.
Ratified this summer, which is years essential. So often we see layoffs that are just done line item by line item, but it could turn out that one of the people caught up in that actually knows shit that other people in the organization don't know. And those people are actually essential, and I've first-hand personal experience of seeing a number of near misses in that regard with just Xbox stuff that I know. Now, the Diablo team has also talked about the cultural changes post-acquisition around the edges of their workspace, and we've talked about this on off because we now have proof of what happens without protections, and it comes in the form of a company called King. And it seems that King absolutely are the canary in the coal mine, that they are Microsoft's test case, that effectively what Microsoft is mandating for them is what they want for the rest of Xbox. We know that King has unions, but they're not company-wide like Diablo, and that means that Microsoft's impact can be quite a bit more brutal, because staff have less recourse to challenge them via formal means. Back in July, right after the latest layoff wave went public, King lost 200 developers. And MobileGamer.biz reported something kind of shocking, that internal teams at King got cut in half, and their replacements, they were AI tools. So that's lovely. And to add a cherry on
that's
top,
only going to get worse.
Teams had just built those tools. And they were essentially
I remember that
100%. So that
they built the AI tools that took their jobs.
Designer, developer, even managers have to use it on a daily basis. And this is described as an imposition by Microsoft. And a separate source echoed this. Management now includes AI use in performance reviews and in reward schemes. You know that fun little axiom that whenever you set something as a target or a reward, it becomes functionally kind of useless? Oh dear, I have a feeling that that will create some perverse incentives. But when you tell people, use AI or else, what do you expect will happen? Especially because it's not like those people will be using it because...
And you know what's crazy is there's nothing that anybody could do about this. This was bound to happen once AI became to the point where it was so simple to use. It's going to be just like car manufacturers whenever robots took the automotive workers' jobs. It's going to be the exact same thing. I mean, think about it this way. Elon Musk was able to become the richest man in the world because he built an automotive company where his entire factory was ran by machines. And because of how much money he saved on labor, he is now the richest man in the world. He's got so much money, he's able to launch rockets and blow them up and still have enough wealth to fund an entire nation.
Genuinely interested. I use loads of little AI things here and there, but I drive that. I set my own rules, make my own standards. Nobody's forcing me, and I can use my own judgment as to what is or is not appropriate. Guess what? My dyslexic ass is useless at spelling, and some of the LLM things are pretty useful for a little bit of sanity checks. That's rather different from your boss saying, hey, we need a 100% adoption rate. It's actually going to be tied to your performance review and your bonuses and probably your future with the company, and you have no choice.
Which is even crazy because whenever you look at this, it's like, well, it's tied to your performance and your future at the company. What's it matter? You're going to get fired anyway. When they figure out that this is more financially friendly and more beneficial for the company, they're going to fire you anyway. It's not going to matter. You're walking a very finite line. You're going to lose your job regardless. Because once they figure out that this works, you're done. That's it, you're cooked.
And for King, we can now add this to existing problems like a HR team whose role is, of course, to protect the company, not the staff. That's a common phrase, but it's also a quote in this case.
HR, a lot of people get that messed up. HR is not for you. It is for the company. It's to keep the company from getting sued. I don't know why. Like one of my friends who had just got fired kept going to HR for stuff, and I'm like, dude, you got to stop going to HR for like harassment and stuff, because you do realize that HR is there to protect the company. So if they find that you're the problem, they're going to fire you. Even if you're not the problem, if it would solve the problem with the least amount of hassle, they would still fire you.
And this has resulted in brutal point of the company. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sacrificing games for AI funding. Those are the layoffs that hit all of Microsoft, but we do know that Xbox got particularly hammered. And think about that number between closing or expanding Xbox any time dies.
I
A
don't
lot
really
of the
think.
Overwatch 2 development team and also the
I look
Diablo
forward to
development
watching
team, they hear
Activision
Union and
bust, honestly. Unions can also cannibalize themselves, especially if they don't have enough money to continue going. Unions are a good and a bad thing as long as they're, maintained at a certain degree. But check out Bellular News. Awesome guy. Awesome!